All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, chat is moving. 150 people waiting. Probably more than that. It doesn't 100% live update. We got lots of stuff to talk about today. First and foremost, my Euro trip. Yes, I'm going back to the Netherlands. So tomorrow I will not be making any videos or any live stream. Got to get back there where it's going to be about 60 degrees. And I'm looking outside at 2 feet of snow, and it's like 30 out. So I'm looking forward to multiple things when I'm there. Get some bitterball, that's what I'm talking about. So yeah, I will be traveling to Europe. There's a link in the description, by the way, to a great song. It's prototypically European in nature by Uban X. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but it doesn't really matter. Young Hearts of Europe. One of my favorite old darkwave songs. Back in the day, you could find all sorts of good shit like that on YouTube. These days, it's a little bit more hit and miss. You've got to fiddle around with the recommended videos and do all sorts of shit in order to find good shit. And so it's really hard if you're into obscure and like vintage music like I am from the 80s. It can be a little bit difficult. It's rather sad, actually. 90% of all my favorite music I found first on YouTube. Of course, my favorite song is still Love My Way by the Psychedelic Furs, and that you could hear on the soundtrack for GTA Vice City back in the day. Yes, an entire generation indoctrinated into 80s music, and that video game probably led directly to the retrowave stuff that the millennials were creating back at the end of the 2010s. Just saying. So anyway, we've got to talk about that. And I'm going to be listening to that later. Trust me while I pack. We've got to Memology 101 covering Kamala Harris getting predictably humiliated in Puerto Rico. It took less time than I expected. I expected that at the very least she would have to open her mouth in order to be humiliated. But nope, it didn't take that long. Basically, she steps off the plane and 10 minutes later, she's got a fucking problem going on. Many of you have already seen this, but there's no way that I can't cover this. And yes, by Mikey Woods, yes. Hall & Oates is definitely God mode. Apparently, Hall & Oates fucking hate each other about as much as Simon and Garfunkel do. So I don't think they're going to be making any music together anytime soon. Extreme protective orders. Justice Department launches the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center. Yes, so they can try to take your guns away if any of your neighbors think that you're a little bit eccentric. China reportedly developing military drones that are capable of splitting into individual components. So they're making modular drones now. This is something that I, number one, warned would happen. Number two, I'm really hoping we develop more of this technology because that would be one hell of a blast. Now, when you really think about it. And that technology ain't going nowhere. Now, you're not putting that genie back in the bottle. In harrowing speech, AOC warns the U.S. is aiding genocide in Gaza. We'll be talking about that. And also PCBs, which have been banned for a generation. The problem is that they're still actually being generated by chemical reactions. So those forever chemicals that can really fuck up your endocrine system, yeah, they're still there. In fact, they're worse than before. Apparently, according to this study, more of them were created recently than back at supposedly peak PCB. That's not great. That's one contaminant you do not want around. Lamp Crow, is the Euro trip permanent again or temporary? I will be back there for a month and coming back right before my niece's birthday, actually, here to the United States. As I've told people, I can live on 2 different continents, and it's pretty fun, by the way. You know, you get to enjoy the best of the weather in 2 different areas. The bonus holes, Elvis is king. Yeah, baby. One of them lobsters was Dick Nixon there, Chucky. Oh, if you've never seen that skit, look up Will Sasso Elvis if you want to see one of the funniest things you'll ever see. And he's like talking about lobsters, you know, which is Richard Nixon and stuff like that. And he's like, I can see through metal, boys, and that ain't no lie. All righty. Oh, God, Will Sasso is hilarious. Crazy Canadian. Suspicious Scissors. Is Timcast Hannah a beautiful woman or just a cute girl? Yeah, she's attractive. Yeah, of course. I don't know whether you classify her as a woman or a girl or anything like that. She seems bubbly. So, yeah, everyone there was really great on the Timcast show. Just, it was quite a time. It's basically like a 2-hour-long party when you think about it. I mean, I know that it's work, but when you get to Timcast's office, it doesn't really feel like you're in a workplace. It feels like you're in a party zone or something like that, like you've just gone to the fair or something. Great guy. Everyone that works there, oh, they're all great. Bayonne 201, good morning from Gay Stowe, Vermont. It's been a while since I'm able to tune in, so happy to catch you here on my day off. Yes, I'll be back on Eurotime soon, so for some of you, that's actually an advantage. For some of you, unfortunately, it's a disadvantage. My apologies. Billy Howard, as a right-wing podcaster, do you experience any travel issues and questioning like Lauren Southern and others experience, causing missed flights and temporary arrests? Nope. Never been arrested or detained in my life. Never had any problem with law enforcement. The only thing that came close was one time. Oh, this is a funny ass story. Most of you haven't heard it, by the way. I bought some corn off of eBay, some corn seed. It was a black Aztec corn, and it's a sort of a weird heirloom crop or something. And it was from China. And I didn't realize when I bought it, you're not supposed to buy seed from China. Well, we get a knock at the door, and one of the people from the Department of Agriculture is actually there. And I'm like, what's the problem? He's like, well, here's this order form, and you bought corn from China. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna get arrested or a huge fine. Thankfully, I never planted it, and so he just said, okay, well, that's fine. The only corn that I had out there was I had the yellow bantam. That's an heirloom variety, really good. That's an all-around corn. And then I had some Silver Queen, which tasted like Frosted Flakes, actually. It was overpoweringly sweet. My sister loved it. I couldn't understand the concept. But I never planted the actual corn seeds, and so thankfully I didn't cause like an epidemic among the local corn population or something like that. Pumpkin Fire Crafts. Good morning, all. Busy working on new things, trying to fill out the site and have an official grand opening soon, but want to add more products and fine-tune some things with the page first. Thank you for your patience. Thank you as well for your sponsorship. Emperor Palpatine, not black-pilled here, but a realist. Do you know what measures are being taken in the States to prevent the Dems from pulling another 2020 in 24? Yes, a couple of those states have throttled back mail access, so that's a good thing. I think Michigan is one of them. That's an important one. And in other cases, it's just the political reality is that Trump is so far ahead in some of these states, they're barely competitive, like Georgia, North Carolina. They're pretty much off the table at this point. Commander Jorgen, Sticks, what is your favorite kind of soup? It's tough, but I would say my own homemade lentil soup. Yeah, I make lentil soup like a boss, with extra spinach, of course. Mike the Womp, morning. What's the lights at the base of the pond? My mom made this. It's a little. It's made with hot glue, and it's like little glowing mushrooms. They're just made with hot glue, and there's little LED lights inside of them. And I fucking love these things, and there's about a dozen of them in the house now, and this one happens to be mine. I got another one over here. This one's purple. I like it. I specifically asked for this color because it kind of reminds me of the mushrooms from Skyrim. And I'm thinking, you could do some bell caps too, but I mean, incredible job that she did on those. It's probably my favorite thing that my mom has ever made, actually. And she knows how to make sourdough bread, so, that's no joke. That pie over there. Whatever happened to the Jew tunnels in Western Long Island? Let's hope they're not still robbing people's foreskins at night or whatever they were up to. Yeah, we're never going to get closure on that. Dark World XL, 2 questions. Should you be able to serve in government, Twitter, dual citizenship, and have you ever played RimWorld and or Project Zomboid? I have not played either of those, although Zomboid has been mentioned, I think, not just by you. No, a person should not be able to serve in a federal office while holding dual citizenship. No, absolutely not. And it does not matter whether they where they have dual citizenship too. Like I castigated Ted Cruz. He had Canadian dual citizenship. And when he was running for office in 2016, he only recently gave it up. He renounced that dual citizenship. And I was like, okay, come on, dude. You held it for, 30 years or something like that. Not a banned account. Will pensions ever return, or will we work till we die? Depends on what you're working in, I suppose. I just trust myself to make my own money. I don't expect to ever retire, nor would I want to. Charles Warrington, Morning Sticks, finally made it to a stream, currently clanking and trucking in Texas. Have fun and be careful, everyone. Maybe you can make it over to Roanoke and check out Anton's Biltong factory. Fuentes Lodig 152, any thoughts on the Moscow terrorists in court? As you predicted, they did look pretty beaten and roughed up. Oh, they got beaten very badly. No, I mean, ISIS is claiming responsibility. Putin alluded to the Ukrainians having involvement, but we're not 100% sure. Miku Huntu Forex bot. Haklu EU. I bet you go to the threads on H. Wolf on the Plains. They just lowered Trump's bond and are not seizing his properties. Minor win, but still a win. Oh, I'll have to look that up. Mad Phase. Did you see that ridiculous Rolling Stone article yesterday that was like, how we fortified the 2020 election 2.0? How Biden plans to stop Trump from stealing the election. Lol. Yeah, I made that as one of my new tech exclusives today. Let me look that up really quickly. Trump's bond. Yeah, happy Bond Day to everyone, by the way. Let's see. Can I get some live updates or something? Apparently not. Oh, yeah, Trump's bond has been lowered to $175 million. That's very interesting. It was $425 million an hour ago. I wonder why they did that. Could it be that they don't want the flack of seizing his properties for political reasons? And they're just saying, okay, look, we'll cut our losses. You know, you defrauded people who literally were never litigants against you, but we'll lower your bond anyway. Oh, boy. Man, I should have included that in the docket. I wish that wasn't breaking news. So, yeah, breaking news. Donald Trump scoring a huge victory there. He will not have to pay $425 million. He will have to pay $175 million. And you watch, if he doesn't pay that, they'll probably lower it further. Oh, boy, he just fucked them real hard. He just fucked them in the ass without lube. Mike the Womp, those mushrooms are cool. They produced for sale. I have encouraged my mother to make them for sale. One thing I was thinking, if you had a larger base, you could have an actual plug-in, or you could do a slider, like you could have like a little foundation under it with a little hinge or something, and you could slide the batteries in or out for changing them. Because, I mean, batteries, how long do they last? It'd be better if you had a plug-in, though. But no, I have a feeling that people are going to be clamoring for these. I know that I love mine. I mean, fucking look at that. How cool is that? That's one of the coolest things I've seen in my goddamn life. It's just great. Made in Vermont, too, which means there's a 50% fucking markup, dude. No, I love my mushroom lights. Anyways, let's get to some news. Yeah, I'm going back to Europe tomorrow, so that's news number one. But let's talk about Kamala Harris. A few days ago, it was announced that she was going to go to Puerto Rico. This is for Hispanic outreach mainly. The Biden administration decided, well, she looks ethnic, so, you know, she'll fit right in. And magically, that's going to make people vote for us because she can talk about BIPOC and progress and all of these other things. And it'll be great because Kamala Harris is such a great public speaker. She's very compelling. And the problem is that upon landing in the country, one of the first things that happened is somebody was singing a protest song, in Spanish, of course, because it's Puerto Rico, actually against Kamala Harris. But she doesn't understand Spanish. And so she began doing that thing where she did like the politician dance. You know, you saw them the other day, like half the Hall of Congress was dancing in a conga line for some reason. And I still don't know exactly why, but it didn't go over too well. Her aide leaned in and was like, Miss Harris. And she's like, yeah, he. That song is not actually in support of you. That song is actually criticizing you. You should probably stop dancing. And you could see the look on her face changed immediately. The aide leans in, to whisper. And then Kamala Harris is like, what a bummer. Yes, could it be the fact that I'm conflating Puerto Ricans and Haitians? Could it be the fact that I think that some black person from Ghana is exactly the same as somebody who just came over from Indonesia? Could it be my total color blindness and my NIMBY liberalism and the fact that I'm basically just hedging the color of my skin to be able to weigh in on such issues, and people have begun to reject that? Kamala Harris does not have the self-awareness to understand the ins and outs of this. You should definitely watch that video, though. Oh my God, it was funny. She's literally doing like the conga, like the politician dance, you know, the closed body language thing that politicians tend to do. Even Trump does that, by the way. And but then she stopped real quick once she learned what the song was about. It was something about like, "Are you enjoying our colony? You've come to see our colonialism," or something like that. It was obviously some Puerto Rican nationalist, and so she stopped dancing. Amasong, how do the mushrooms look when the lights are off? Well, I mean, they still look cool, but you know, when they're glowing, they look cooler. That's the whole point. It's basically like a little lamp. Excuse me. A little bit hoarse today, actually. The weather change with all of the snow drying me right out. Samantha Winter, things are going to get worse before they get better. What should I do in addition to self-improvement? Team up with your neighbors. They have various skills that might be useful as well. I mean, if things do get bad, we're going to have to pull together into local communities in small town America. You know, the places that didn't get hit by nuclear blasts or something like that. We're going to have to trade and share alike and organize things, and it's going to take a lot of effort. Buy a gun. I would recommend investing in brass as well. Poor Kamala. It took her literally less than an hour to fulfill my obvious prediction that when she went to Puerto Rico, she would get humiliated. It took less than an hour. She was barely off the fucking plane. It was quicker than I expected, actually. I'm like, okay, maybe like 5 hours in, you know, then she has an issue because she talks to the press and she should just shut her mouth. But Mad Phase, your mom should make them as a USB lamp. Those are way easier than classic plugs. That would be an interesting design principle as well. Trip Boom, early morning stream soon. Hallelujah. Lol, Clank. Yes, indeed. Yep, I'll begin going live around the time that most people are barely waking up. So I'm going to need to bring some coffee. Lord of the Waffle House. Sticks, did you ever visit Anton's in Roanoke? I only live 30 minutes away, but I don't think I ever heard the date announced. Also, did you hear the Army is prepping to recall retirees to active duty? I didn't hear that. No, I have not been down to Texas in a long time, but I'm definitely going to be doing that. Salte, good morning, Sticks. My family and I, descended from the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, joke that Kamala is a bruja or witch based on how she looks and acts. Yeah, I mean, when you talk to her about little kids getting killed by bombings and stuff, she starts laughing. So, I don't know. She's batshit. Security. Hey, Sticks, you've inspired me to start a small garden in my home's backyard. Any tips or pointers, gardening books, etc.? For specifics, I live in Southern California. Much love, Clank. Yeah, you've got a different climate than I'm used to. I would definitely invest. Make sure to pile that soil high. And in that climate, Southern California, that's more dry. I don't know that hugelkultur would be very good for that climate. But biochar always is. Just look up the biochar creation process. You're not going to need much of it if it's a small garden. Loss of art. I think I speak for everyone when I voice my support for Haley Harris 28. You could actually see that ticket. The fact is, that's barely even a joke. That's the weird part. TH, good morning, Sticks, you fabulous bastard. Here's some cash. Can't wait for your return to the USA. Thanks for all your great work. Clanking daily from the Silicon Valley. Shout out to Gator. Thank you very much. Speaking of shouting people out, let's go to the merch partners. We have pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get amulets, as I call them, of course, bookmarks, keychains, belt chains, and more. With the Sticks Hexen logo, they've also got some stuff available there that does not have to do with my logo, but it's still cool. I mean, it's all handmade and things. They've got their own site. It looks really nice. I got a bunch of bookmarks. I've thought about selling a few of them. I mean, I'd be giving them out. No, don't worry, I won't resell. BiltongUSA.com. Use code STICKS, of course, at checkout, or AntonsUSA.com for your delicious biltong needs. Carbonasi, bison, they've got you covered. We've also got Sticks Hexenhammer merch there, mugs, tumblers, and shirts. Wicked Needle Embroidery.bigcartel.com. By the way, they made this hat, of course, and you can get with the Ouroboros logo offset, or you can get it centered. It sort of depends on your style. We've got HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com. By the way, I think that their contest is still going. So if you buy one of their survival seed buckets, I really do like the seeds. I've got a shit ton of them growing at the moment. You will be entered in a contest to win various toiletries. Yes, they're making soap now. The soap comes highly endorsed and recommended. We've got websterswares.com/sticks-wares, or you can just go to websterswares.com. There's Trump merchandise, there's Sticks merchandise available, various kinds. Jamminbean.com. That is JAMNbean.com, where you can get coffee and tea. It's very good. Again, my own particular taste is the Costa Rica blend. It's pretty much perfect. It's like, it's almost a little bit like the MRE, like the Instant Type 2, only it's not instant. It's nice and smooth. It's basically perfect, actually. And then we have mtpew.com, where for all of you gun owners out there, you can get various ammo. Some of it is newly manufactured. Some of it is reload from Range Brass, actually. And so you can get that as well. So there are our merch partners. I'm very happy to work with all of them, by the way. I mean, again, you're never going to see me shouting out anything that I don't personally like and or use myself. I eat a lot of biltong. What can I say? I drink a lot of coffee. Steve H sent $4.99. No comment. Thank you very much, by the way. We have Cat Can Sticks. We will await your orders and suggestions if the whole shit house goes down in flames. Would you consider getting a ham radio so we can get a network of repeaters to send you out? I've actually thought about it because shit could hit the fan. There are some people that are convinced that the eclipse coincides with like the beginning of the end times or something like that. I personally do not believe in such superstition. However, yeah, I mean, things are a little dicey at the moment, so maybe coincidentally it'll happen. Maybe Satan will pop out of the ground, in a little crater and start ruling the world. Nutty Pirate. Haley Harris being literally the HaHa 24 campaign is too fucking great. BW, I'm terrified of what Dems will do with the remaining time in office if Trump wins. One of the things Trump needs to do is get rid of the extra time the old party has. New admin begins when they win. Now, what he needs to do is clean house, literally and figuratively. Harrisay, Morning Sticks, opinion on nukes. Do you think there will ever be any point in trying to reclaim devastated cities even after the radiation is cleared? Oh, yeah, there'll be a shit ton of resources there. You're thinking metal and everything else. Imagine all of the things we've mined and taken out of the world, and they're just sort of lying there. And they'll be under some vines and brush and shit like that. But, yeah, you'll be able to mine the old cities. They might be a little bit radioactive, but everything will anyway. Here's some worrisome news. Justice Department launches the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center. Yes, the DOJ is trying to take people's guns away based on the fact that somebody else believes that they might be a threat to themselves or others. I completely disagree with this, obviously. I think red flag laws are strictly unconstitutional. If somebody is such an extreme risk that really there's a legitimate fear that they're going to pop off at any moment and just go fucking crazy, they should be in an asylum. And this is exactly the litmus test that our founders used, actually. You were a member of the militia, but if you were in the nut ward, if you were literally, on the funny farm, obviously nobody's going to give you a musket because you're fucking crazy. But what we understand as mental illness or quasi-criminal behavior these days, like hyperbole, like saying, well, man, I wish I could fucking kill you. That would have been maybe something that led to a duel back then, but it wouldn't have been something that would get you thrown on the funny farm. It had to be systemic. You had to be a criminal lunatic cannot be trusted with a weapon. They're not a member of the militia. You have to be of sound mind and body. The understanding was someone that was unduly violent or like extremely addicted, like, the strung on crack constantly. They're not a member of the militia. They're incapable of being properly regulated. So even if they're a citizen, they're of the proper age, etc., they wouldn't be drummed into the militia's roles or something like that. Red flag laws, therefore, are strictly and blatantly unconstitutional. They should not exist on the federal or any state level. Any state enacting them is effectively committing treason against the Second Amendment. Either a person is capable of owning, if a person can vote, then a person should be able to own a gun. Do you really trust a person that can't own a gun? Do you trust them to go to the ballot box? Do we need red flag laws for voting? Well, I'm sorry, mister, but you're off the voter rolls because, you threatened your neighbor that time. And, obviously your judgment is off. You're a second-class citizen. We're not going to incarcerate you. You're not guilty of any crime. You're not on the funny farm as a criminal lunatic, but we're depriving you of your rights anyway. What other right is subject to this basic litmus test? The right to vote? No. The right to express yourself? Well, kind of on big tech, but no, not at the legal level. The right to privacy. Does the government deems you to be a threat because one of your neighbors complained? Does that entitle them to randomly snoop through your trash? No, that'd be a huge legal case if they tried to do that. The state started acting up, so the 10th Amendment doesn't apply to them. It's an extreme risk that we allow the state of Arizona to go forth with this law. We don't apply that litmus test to anything else. About the only aside I would say is that slavery is technically still legal in the United States if you're incarcerated. Other than that, nobody says, well, it's women's suffrage, but you're having PMS around the time of voting, so clearly you're not of sound mind, so you're not allowed to have your ballot. Somebody should non-seriously suggest that just to get a public conversation going in regards to the red flag laws. Women on PMS, should they be allowed to vote? I'm asking even you women out there. I mean, you know how you do change at certain times of month. I've experienced this a number of times, you will see. It's just the way that it is. A dude is, you've got some medical problem or something like that. Are you allowed to vote? Are you allowed to do anything else? No, only guns are specifically subjugate. And Bruin overrules this and says this is not a subjugate right. It is co-equal to the rest of the constitutional amendments. And these states keep fucking violating it. And now the federal government's trying to do so as well by trying to advise states on how to rob people of their ability to keep in their arms. Ronnie stars. There are common weeds that are abundant and very nutritious. For example, leaves of Spanish needles, Biden's alba, have nutritional value equivalent to kale. Is canning cheaper than gardening? There is an investment in canning things, but I mean, if you've raised it in your garden to begin with, the number of supplies that you need above and beyond that are pretty scant. Another one, dandelion greens, which will be coming out in a few weeks. Dandelion greens. You can eat hollyhocks, by the way. Did you know that hollyhocks, the entire plant is edible? Back in the Victorian era, they used to put it as a garnish on their salads, like the flowers and stuff, because they're impressive. They're actually edible. Lilies are edible. The pods are used in certain Asian dishes. You've got nettles, stinging nettles. If you denature those spines by simply cooking them, you can boil them. You should saute them. Use a little bit of butter, come on, and a little bit of garlic, just a pinch. Oh, it's delicious. It tastes just like spinach, but it gives you a little bit of a tingle, so it's even better. Rather fibrous, though, a little bit chewy. BW, when are you going to wear a black cowboy hat, Sticks? Actually, I do kind of want to get a cowboy hat. That'd be pretty fucking funny. Alvman, good day. Question, is there a Rumble playlist of the new tech exclusives? No. No, not at this time. Although there probably should be. Bill Mears, I have my ham license. Great community. Also look at GMRS. No test, just license fee. It's funny, when I get to the Netherlands, I'll be in a city that actually hosts the college where the number one shortwave broadcast in the whole world is hosted, Twente, the University of Twente. I was listening to that, and I didn't even know that it was there, by the way. I was listening to that back around, 2011 or thereabouts, when North Korea looked like it might pop off and go crazy and attack South Korea. You remember Sky King? Some of you remember that meme? Yeah, that's actually hosted in Enschede in the Netherlands. It's pretty great. Felix Fanboy Rico, check your DMs. Appeals cuts Trump bond in half. Yes, I already reported on that. We do have breaking news. Donald Trump does not need to pay $425 million, only $175 million. He probably does have that kind of cash on hand. Cunning Patriot. Hey, Sticks, I noticed 2 green checkmark channels on Rumble. Did I miss something? By the way, I got an offer to join the Freemasons. Don't really know too much about what they do. Do you? Love you, brother. Yeah, I mean, you can join if you want to. Basically, you just have to be a theist and go through some psychodrama. It's very symbolic, and it's there are multiple levels of Freemasonry. I do have a video, I think, on the subject that I made in the occult playlist, so maybe you can refer to that. If not, I mean, if you DM me, I'll make a video on the subject. Loss of art. I have the gardening ability of a damp rock. Where do I start? Plow up some soil and plant some plantlings. Just keep them watered and give them some fertilizer. Go organic, by the way. You don't need chemical fertilizer. You really don't. If you mix up your soil stratum the correct way, then you're not going to need chemical fertilizers. I mean, I've got where is it? Oh, it's over there. I've got that Neptune's Harvest. I highly recommend that. Get their kelp meal. Plants love it. Also make nettle water. If you have access to stinging nettles, just put them in water and let them ferment for a couple weeks, strain them out, and then use that water sporadically to water your plants. Very high in proteins and irons. and it fortifies the plant's immune systems, actually. It prevents disease. It really does work. It's a fucking miracle. The Skinny Biomed sent $10. No comment, thank you. Alvaman, thanks. Just asking. Maybe something to set up on the flight to the Netherlands. Hint, hint. Yeah. I can try. I will be getting internet on that flight. So I will be live on Twitter, actually, while I'm mid-flight over the Atlantic, because I can't go 7 hours without the internet. It's just, unless I'm asleep, it's just an impossibility. China is reportedly developing military drones that can split into 6 to overwhelm enemy defenses. I'm really hoping that there's a U.S. plan to counter this by doing the same thing. This was inevitable. I talked about this, starting months ago. The idea is that you have a bunch of drones operating in tandem. Suicide drones, or they're mounted with rockets or fucking flamethrowers, whatever the fuck you want. And then you overwhelm an enemy position by simply sending a bunch of effectively what amount to unarmed soldiers that don't care whether they live or die in formation. I talked about ships specifically, and this is the big worry, and it will happen. This is an official prediction. I can guarantee that something like this will occur in the next few years. At some point, somebody's going to realize that thermite can burn through the hull of a ship. It can burn underwater, and so that's not a problem. And you can destroy a ship with a relatively small investment by taking a relatively inexpensive explosive incendiary mix of thermite, putting it on a series of drones, hatching them into a coordinated effort, so they have to basically fall into the footprint of the ship and do what those kids actually did. They figured out how to use like Google Maps and stuff like that to guide drones, so they didn't even need to communicate centrally or something like that. It was crazy. Literally, you're launching them as though they were more like a rocket than an actual drone. You need no further guidance. Everything's just pre-programmed in. Without needing to communicate with home base, well, the normal countermeasures aren't going to work, the drone guns or something like that, because it's not required. Everything's just pre-programmed. And so you put them into a ship's footprint, basically, on deck, and then you blow them all up. And the ship sinks real quick because now it's Swiss cheese, and closing the bulkheads is not going to work at that point. It's going to be a fruitless effort. Imagine the damage that you could do with a few dozen relatively small drones. You're paying $1 million to down an aircraft carrier, maximum. $1 million, and you've just taken out a ship that took years to complete and holds literally thousands of aircraft and shit like that. It can be done, and it will be. So we can't fall behind the Chinese on that, because that's going to be a big fucking problem, since they have more ships now than we do. Not as sophisticated and a lot of merchant marine, but there is a navy there. Jens Peterson, you should try the cheese Appenzeller Extra Aged. I like highly aged cheeses. Appenzeller. I'll try to keep that in mind. Official Rye Nirvana. I got circumcised Friday. Would you like the extra skin? It's nutritious. You can give it to Oprah Winfrey for her face cream. Almendorius, can't turn you up at work, but here's a tip anyway. I'll watch this when I get home. Thank you. Harrison Bergeron, you should get foreskin luggage for your travels. It's very compact until rubbed. The Blue Dog Man, you should get your cowboy hat from Peterson Brothers Hats in downtown Fort Worth, Texas. Maybe if you're visiting Anton in Roanoke, you can drop into downtown Fort Worth, which is very close by. Sounds cool. I want one with a band of snakeskin around it. I had one of those as a kid that my uncle gave me, actually, my Uncle Jason. And I loved it, but, I was a kid, so I outgrew it, unfortunately. Freedom of Speech sent $1. No comment. Thank you very much. So you got problems with those cluster drones. Imagine that you can take out a significant chunk of an enemy's navy at any given time. Or if you know where their aircraft are on an airfield, you can fly them in there and thermite the planes, while rendering them inoperable. Well, there goes 1,000 of your fucking jets, asshole. Yeah, that would be pretty brutal. You can fly them in under the radar. I've talked about coat them in Vantablack and fly them in at night with a little nuke on them or something like that. Ain't nobody going to see it. It's not visible on radar. Nobody suspects a thing until they see the mushroom cloud. Alvman, I already did that one. Quebecistan, Sticks, I have very sandy soil. What would you do to make it ready to garden? If it's very sandy, then you have to amend it, of course. Sand isn't as bad as like the hard pan clay that you get in like the Rio Grande Valley, where you have to take a pickaxe in order to get it out. And pretty much every garden down there is going to be raised. Just add a shit ton of compost. Cow shit works well. You can get it from local farms sometime. I like to add a bit of straw to it, actually. And then, of course, biochar. Biochar works for everything. Kmart is here. Good morning from South Padre Island. Oh, I'm jealous. Been watching for years. It's bright and sunny here. Got to watch Elon's rocket not explode over my head on my birthday. I'll say hi to Myra Flores for you. Well, happy birthday. Yeah. Oh, you can see those rockets from South Padre? Damn, I really do need to get back down there. That sounds fun. I'm going to eat a hamburger while I watch somebody go to space. Mikahuntu 4X bot. Eat the skin. You've had worse, like Abby's milk. Ew. Cunning Patriot. Hey, Sticks, you've heard of an exorcism when the priest pulls the devil out of the little boy. But have you heard of a reverse exorcism? It's when the devil pulls the priest out of the little boy. Ben Peters Brown. Appeals court lowered Trump's bond to $175 million. Yes, I did indeed see that. So effectively, you've got an admission, and this has derailed the news, so fuck the rest of this news. I'll cover it a little bit, I guess. This is effectively an admission that was excessive now, isn't it? Well, possibly because they looked at the valuation of the Mara. I think that they looked at their situation, and I think that they were worried that Trump was going to troll them. Like by saying, yeah, take the Trump Tower, that's perfectly fine, but turn it into a migrant shelter. You know, he loads it with homeless people or something like that. That may have actually been his plan. And so they seem to have backed down pretty badly. It's really fun to watch. Oh, the leftoids must be melting down over on Twitter. Let me take a look. Wonder if the Krasensteins or any of them have weighed in. Yeah, I'm getting a shit ton of news tips about that. Don't worry, everyone. I am aware. Let's see. Any leftoids going crazy at the moment? Yeah, they haven't got. They're still drunk or high at the moment, probably. Oh no, it is trending. Just a sec. I mean, it's only noon, so you know some of these people have some issues. Yeah, Kerry Lake. Today's bond ruling showed just how much Judge Engoron and Tish James are partisan hacks. $175 million is still too high. President Trump built a great company that employed thousands and made banks millions. Election interference. Yes, but I would say that it is an unmitigated disaster for the Letitia James side. This is definitely a victory for Donald Trump. He can cover $175 million without liquidating property. He claims he's got more than $500 million on hand. I think that might be bravado, but $175 for somebody who just technically made $1 billion on paper. Yeah, I mean, that's believable. Totally believable. He'll be able to cover his costs. And they're giving him 10 days, so maybe he'll just say, whatever. I'm just going to walk out and you can go ahead and lower it again. You know, no deal. I wish I could do a Tim Pool level Trump impression. For some reason, he's got a really good Trump impression. I'm better with Bernie. We should probably collaborate on that at some point. That'd be fucking hilarious. Imagine a fake conversation between Trump and Bernie and you don't even need AI to generate it. That could be a thing. So yeah, he's got a 10-day extension and he only needs to secure $175 million. By the way, there are bond companies that are capable of covering that. $464 million, ain't nobody going to be able to. Most of those companies aren't big enough to even feasibly do so. And of course, most of them would be reluctant to do so. He can raise that. He'll be fine. Wasn't that very predictable? I thought that Trump was done for this time and he was broke and he was bankrupt and everything else under the sun, but now he's got his extension. Fuenters Lodig 152. What the puppet masters are doing to Sleepy Joe is just cruel. This time around, he'll actually have to campaign. And the level of Adderall and amphetamines they'll have to put him on can't be healthy. He has quite clearly been on amps before. At the SOTU, he was definitely on drugs. Let's see. Webster's Wares. Good morning, clankers from Endicott, Washington, deep behind enemy lines. Free shipping using code STICKS at websterswares.com. Custom Trump 2024 and Sticks merch now available. More to come, clank. Thank you. Certain Death. Drones could be pre-built in the country to be operated by a fifth column. Yeah, I mean, a reasonably wealthy person could create effectively a robotic army right now, load it with thermite and burn an entire city to the ground. So yeah, I mean, if there really is some evil genius out there with a lot of money from some inheritance, we've got a problem. BW, when do you think we can buy Truth Social stock? No clue, actually. Kmart is here. South Padre is the optimal viewing choice for launches for most people. The launches are right across the channel that enters the bay. SpaceX is on the Brownsville side of Boca Chica Beach. Yeah, I've been there through Port Isabel and stuff. Great food and, great weather. I got to get back down there. Maybe next winter I'll say, fuck this snow. There's 5 feet of it or something like that. I wish I was in South Padre right now. At that one restaurant I can't remember the name of that had the excellent burgers. They were probably the best burger that I've ever had in my life. Shit, I make good burgers myself, but it's nothing compared to those ones. AOC is claiming that there's a genocide ongoing in Gaza. I've got mixed thoughts about this. It's not really a genocide, but it is a massacre. You've got 2-to-1 civilian deaths. You got like 30,000 people dead. It is condemnable what's happening at this point. And Israel has lost the optic war again. Disclaimer, not Team Israel, not Team Palestine. Just telling it how it is, Israel has lost the optics part of that war already. It lost it within the first few weeks. The lopsided response has drawn such condemnation that even the U.S. leadership is now gently condemning Israel. They're not going to do jack shit about it, but they're saying, well, this is unacceptable. Please don't go into Rafah. Netanyahu's like, well, I'm going to go into Rafah. What are you going to fucking do? How are you going to stop me? I've got nuclear weapons. Nobody cares. AOC, though, calling it a genocide is fundamentally wrong. It's a massacre. At this point, it's human rights abuses on numerous levels. But there isn't an extermination of the entire Palestinian population. If you want that, you have to look to the West Bank, where the fighting is not really ongoing. Over in the West Bank, it's more about the settlements, slowly pushing Palestinians out of what was recognized as Palestinian land. That is much closer to a genocide, and it's been slow rolling, so it avoids notice until fairly recently. Evangelicals never had a problem with it. They thought, it's the Holy Land. It belongs to the Jews. In Gaza, what you have is a huge crisis, but you don't have a genocide. That's more the West Bank, and that's what Israel wants more anyway. They don't really care about the Gaza Strip for any logistic purposes other than maybe the fuel that's offshore. It has nothing to do with that. And I'm like, all of these people that are condemning Israel and saying, oh, they're being genocidal and warmongering. Okay, where were you the last, fucking 20 years? Yeah, you never criticized them then. You'd be shitting your pants. You never dared to. You were told that it was wrong and that it made you a Nazi or something like that. Very, very intriguing. Kick the ball. If they've red flagged the mentally ill and banned them from voting, the Democratic Party would collapse. Yeah, that might be the reason why. Oh, well, take your guns, but don't worry, here's your ballot. Yeah, because clearly you're of sound mind to vote on who should be running the country. But you're too big a danger to yourself and others to have a 22, And then finally, we've got PCBs. Unintentional generation of PCBs may be producing more of the chemicals than before the ban. Yes, at peak in the 1980s, you had, or rather in the 1970s, 43,000 metric tons is the new number. Back then, it was 39,000 metric tons. Now, the population, of course, has grown quite a bit since then. So as a ratio, it's still much lower. PCBs are no good for literally anybody, and we should be doing everything that we can to prevent as much of it as possible from entering the environment. We've known about their carcinogenic properties for a very, very long time. It was so obvious that even with the much more primitive testing and shit that they had back in the 1970s, they still said, there's a real big problem here, and we're probably going to fuck the world until it's uninhabitable, so maybe we need to stop this. PCBs themselves are banned, but they're still released as a byproduct of chemical interactions that go on. And so what this study suggests is to try to figure out why the PCBs are being created at that rate and to try to ameliorate it. Now, you're never going to get rid of all of them. It's just like you're never going to get rid of all the radiation in the world. We have raised the so-called background rate by atomic and nuclear testing over the years. You've never lived in a world, most of you, where that testing had not occurred. If you were born before 1945, then you lived in a world in which radiation, by and large, was sequestered in the ground and shit. And, people knew this mine keeps making people sick. Maybe we shouldn't go there. Now we've released a bunch of that material above ground, but we can ameliorate it. we can attempt to try to reduce the amount that people are exposed to and that animals are exposed to. PCBs are worse than goddamn radiation, though. And look at the Chernobyl wolves. They're doing just fine, and apparently they're slowly mutating to become radiation resistant, which should fucking terrify us all. But you dump some piles of PCBs over there and see how large the wolf population is within a couple of months. One of the worst things that mankind has ever developed, the problem being apparently there's no way to fully eliminate them, but we can reduce it. And I'm an environmentalist, a real one. The NIMBYist so-called environmentalists will tell you that the world's going to turn into Tatooine unless you buy an electric vehicle. I'm going to tell you to plant a tree. Go pick up some trash, something like that. I walk the walk. I don't just fucking talk the talk. I can't wait, by the way, to grow a huge excessive pickles. Then I'm going to go to the local food shelf with like, I don't know, 5 pallets full of pickles and say, well, everyone loves the dills. Courts. Did you hear they reduced Donald Trump's bond to $175 million? Yes, I did, and I was chuckling about that. That was breaking news in the first 15 minutes, actually. I'll definitely have to talk about that more in depth, but tomorrow I'm not making videos because, again, of course, I will be headed to Europe. Anti-Piracy League, Niger expelling, I almost said the wrong word there. Niger expelling the U.S. is symbolically most representative of Biden's profound failure. In a just world, the U.S. would be, I can't say that last part, but I think that you can guess what he's getting to. Expelling somebody else. Yeah, I don't have any problem with people from Niger. They never fucked with me or anything like that. It's just like I'm supposed to hate the Russians, but no Russian ever stabbed me in the back or did anything bad to me. People are people, so why should it be you and I should get along so awfully? BW, I'm Team Israel, but not because of Israel itself, but because our country needs the influence in the area and we can't afford any more losses on the world stage. Well, I mean, Israel can't fundamentally lose in its fight against Hamas. They will not get rid of Hamas, but they have such overwhelming superiority in the air, on the ground. Hamas is really limited in its capabilities. I mean, and it never would have popped off at all if it hadn't been for Joe Biden being selected for stewardship, because the weak, feckless U.S. leadership sort of demoralizes countries that are associated with us, like Ukraine, Taiwan, Guyana, all of the ECOWAS states, Israel, etc., etc. It's a big problem. Yeah, Sigil Stone, I almost had a bad mistake there that would have gotten me banned. Niger is a country. Its shape is very, very coincidental and mimetic, by the way. I think some of you know what I'm alluding to. Yeah, Depeche Mode is the greatest band that ever existed. Much better than the Beatles or the Beach Boys or anything like that. It's Depeche Mode. Best song ever created was by the Psychedelic Furs, Love My Way. But overall, the best band is Depeche Mode. I'm just sad that Andrew Fletcher died last year, which means Depeche Mode doesn't really exist anymore. It's now just Dave and Martin. They're still good. I mean, the music that they released, not long after Fletcher's death, it was still good. It's still a banger. But it doesn't have the same energy that it had before. I think that the death of their bandmate weighs on them, and it's sort of, I mean, they've always been a little bit on the depressive and dark side, but it's a little bit different now. Yeah, I'd say my favorite song is Love My Way by the Psychedelic Furs. My favorite solo artist is Billy Idol, and my favorite band is Depeche Mode. What's my favorite album? For album, I would say it was Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, actually. Well, actually, most of their albums are fucking great, so I don't know. And I don't care whether it's Ozzy or Ron on vocals. I was asked that the other day. I'm Team Ozzy, but Ronnie James Dio definitely, his vocals are excellent too. He died, I think, of stomach cancer. Wasn't that about 5 years ago or something? Yes, Queen is also very good. They would definitely be on the top 10 list for bands. Rush also. Yeah, some people fucking hate him. Like I saw, there was a Rolling Stone article. I think they were bitching about people who had been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And like dead end last in the list is like, they've got like George Harrison and Rush and Queen and all these others. I'm like, what the fuck are you fucking smoking? Yeah, no, Bohemian Rhapsody in and of itself is not worth being in that position. Okay. Yeah, Rush didn't release a huge series of bangers, and you're only upset at them because they make working class hero style rock. Okay. Yeah. Stevie Stevens, meanwhile, never on the list. Yeah, Queen was not a big thing back in the day. They had a couple of hits, and then it was all downhill from there. No, bullshit. Come on. Rush is really great. Limelight, my favorite song. Sigil Stone, have you ever met Nick Gurr? No. I get the reference, Sigil. They can't starve you. I didn't plant a tree last year. I planted 4, yellow cherry apple and 2 species of pear. I kind of, low-key, I kind of want a couple of Bartlett pear trees. Yeah. I'm more into berries, though. And there are a shit ton of them out back, by the way. They're covered in snow right now, but I have no doubt that this June and July, we are going to be fucking overloaded. Because they are some spoiled goddamn plants. Anyways, I think I'm going to go offline. I've got other things I have to do. I have to pack. I'm going to Europe. So tomorrow there won't be any live stream. I don't know if there will be a live stream the day after either. I mean, I'm going against... just a sec. Let me think about this. I'm going against the sun. So it'll actually technically be 2 days before I'm there. Even though for me it'll only be 1. So yeah, I probably won't make any content for a couple of days. Then I'll be on European time for about a month until the end of April. And so I get one spring now because it's going to be a lot warmer there. When I get back, spring will be springing here as well. And it's going to be pretty funny. Bulldozer, oh snap, that was close. Nick Gurr is a strange fellow. Yes, he always shows up to try to cause problems for content creators. It's a good thing I'm quick on my feet linguistically. The Grizzly, do you think that the liberals will have a full 5-alarm meltdown if Trump plays this as a victory? Or will it be next level propaganda about how Orange Man is done for this time? They'll probably say, well, Trump is getting off easy because he's a criminal, basically. Orange Man bad. We know that it'll be Orange Man bad. That's quite clear. It's just a kind of what methodology do they go after to claim that Orange Man is bad when he wins a court case? He's not supposed to do that. Do Bernie before you go Sticks, says Fireburn. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of Bernie. By the way, Ben & Jerry's everywhere, actually, over in the Netherlands. It's hilarious. One of the first things that I saw, I told you, you go to the bus stop in Slaughterdyke, and what's one of the first things that I see? It's a Ben & Jerry's ad, and I'm like, I didn't know it was available over here in Europe. Of course, I thought, back then in the day, I thought that it was still a Vermont company. They've got a token factory there that manufactures, but it's really for the tourists. It's basically, I think that, what is it, the Coca-Cola Corporation or something sub-owns it. Unilever, kicking them loose. But yeah, I thank you to the over 5,000 people who tuned in live. And I will be back in a few days, but I've got a lot of stuff to do. I've got to prep these plants, and at some point I should probably eat. We've got shepherd's pie tonight, one of my favorite foods. I'm going to dump ketchup all over it. Oh, one more. Flinters Lodig 152. It's interesting. Europe, the Netherlands, is quite a bit further north than Vermont, yet much warmer. Not in midsummer. But yes, it has much milder winters because it's so coastal. You get some air from off of North Africa, actually, that modulates the climate from time to time as well. But I will tell you, the wind in the Netherlands is lashing and raw and fucking terrible, especially around February. So, you know, this time of year, it gets a little bit more calm. So I'm hoping to see some cool tulips and stuff like that. Anyways, I'm going to let you all go here. That's about all.